You're listening to the N2K Space Network.
When it's time to scale your business, it's time for Shopify. Get everything you need to grow the way you want, like all the way. Stack more sales with the best converting checkout on the planet. Track your cha-chings from every channel, right in one spot. And turn real-time reporting into big-time opportunities. Take your business to a whole new level. Switch to Shopify. Start your free trial today.
There are many pathways into the space industry, now more than ever. Over 200,000 people work in space in the United States alone, but there are always some stories that just stand out in the crowd. So how can one go from being a geology professor and an artist to being an author, a science communicator, and, oh yeah, the first female commercial spaceship pilot during the pandemic? Well, we're about to find out. Welcome to T-Minus Deep Space from N2K Networks. I'm Maria Vermazes. Dr. Sian Proctor was the keynote speaker at SpaceCom 2025, and I caught up with the Inspiration4 astronaut to find out about her amazing journey into space and how it inspires her art here on Earth. Hi, welcome to T-Minus Space Daily from Commercial Space Week. And with me is our VIP, Dr. Sian Proctor. I am so glad to meet you in person after we chatted just not that long ago. Thank you for joining me this morning.
It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, the pleasure is ours. Thanks again. Oh my goodness. So last time we spoke, I got some really important feedback that I didn't really talk to you about Inspiration4. So I kind of want to live vicariously through you this morning as much as one can for such an amazing experience. Can we walk through the whole journey?
Yeah, it was really out of the blue. I don't think anybody saw this coming because, in 2020, it's the pandemic. I'm home, and I'm in May of 2020. I'm watching Bob and Doug with the return to flight at the U.S. with Demo 2, and we're all cheering that on, right?
Yeah.
And I had no clue a year later I'd be training for my own space mission.
Wow.
And so right after Bob and Doug launched and SpaceX started their human launch commercial side, I became a space artist. So I'm living at home. It was my coping mechanism. So I started doing space art and poetry, and because I was also going through a divorce. I think a lot of people, the pandemic kind of
for a lot of us, yeah.
Yes. Yep. And so I was going through a divorce, and then at the end of 2020, I'm broke. I'm living with my brother. I'm, trying to get my life back together. And then coming into 2021, just about a year going into the pandemic, they announced the first all-civilian mission to orbit that you can win a seat to space. And I was really fortunate because I won the prosperity seat as an artist and a poet. And in March of 2021, I started training. And 6 months later, I launched into space for 3 days with Inspiration4.
Okay. Just the macro of that. The journey is just incredible. You never know where life's going to take you, truly.
You don't know, and you just got to be open to the opportunity. I mean, I could have easily said, oh, they're never going to take me, or, there's too many people that have entered this contest, or a lot of ways of talking yourself out of opportunity. But instead, I just said, you know what, I'm going to do this. I found my authentic voice as an artist and a poet, so I am going to, write this poem called Space to Inspire.
Do you remember the poem offhand?
I do.
Can you recite it?
Yeah, I can. Do you want the whole thing, or do you want it's about 2 minutes?
I would love the whole thing, if you don't mind indulging me.
No, and so it was really interesting time, right? Because thinking about how to create a message through poetry that could resonate for the future. And I grew up a huge Star Wars and Star Trek fan, and thinking about how we boldly go together. And so this is Space to Inspire, the poem that won me a seat to space. You've got space, I've got space. We all have space to inspire. That's why we dream of going higher and higher. But what is space if you can't breathe? Let's stop sucking out the air of our humanity. We have a moment to seize the light. Earth from space, both day and night. We have J for justice, to ignite the bold. We have E for equity, to cut past the old. We have D for diversity, to end the fight. We have I for inclusion, to try to make it right. A Jedi space to rally behind, a universal force so big it binds. Inspiration to change the world, a new beginning for us to hold. It's not about you, it's not about me, it's about space to inspire for all of humanity. Science, technology, engineering, and math, sending us out on the explorer's path. But don't forget the arts, the heartbeat of time. Consider sending a poet who knows how to rhyme. So let us drop the mic and close the capsule door, but please make sure Dr. Proctor is on board. My space to inspire is what we need. Inspiration4 for all of humanity. And I wrote that poem.
By the way.
And thank you. It like poured out. I felt like my ancestors were like, here you go, you know? And that just kind of poured out of me. And it's a Star Wars acronym, but it's a Star Trek meaning. And that whole idea of, especially as we're pushing back against DEI, you know, I feel like when it comes to the space industry, we really should be doubling down on the fact that humanity is going to the moon, Mars, and beyond. And we get to choose how we do that. Yes. And if we're going to create space for all, then the foundation of that should be just, equitable, diverse, and inclusive. There's nothing wrong with that because we all want that Star Trek future.
I know I certainly do. And certainly I really appreciate you saying that because space belongs to everyone.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, it's not just for the highly qualified. Yeah. Like that's to me, it's like, no, we want, you know, and this is one of the things that I love about commercial space and being here is that we can write that narrative of human spaceflight and we want everybody to go. We want everybody of different sizes and different backgrounds. I mean, if highly qualified is the only measure of human success, then, you know, we leave out people in all kinds of categories because we don't consider, particularly like the arts, to be highly qualified.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
for this. And that's just, we're missing the beauty and the creativity and the inspiration that makes us human.
Yes, and as this phrase often goes, they should have sent a poet, and they
Yes.
did. And they did. I'm sure you're sick of hearing that.
I
But
did. And while I was in space, I literally say that. I go, I'm floating and the Earth's behind me, and I'm like, oh, they should have sent a poet. And I go, they did. It's a real honor to be the first artist selected to go to space.
I, on behalf of all the artists who are cheering you on, I'm so glad that one of us was there.
Yeah.
It just makes me, as I think I told you last time we spoke, your mission especially was very resonant with so many of us who were at home watching you. I was with a 3-year-old and just dreaming of just again, the inspiration of it. I was like, oh my God, I'm getting a little overcome thinking about it. But anyway, tell me a bit about the training that you went through, because I this is always fascinating to me too.
The training was amazing and intense. So you can imagine, you know, it's a contest and you've written a poem, you're trying to go as an artist. Then you get on a Zoom call and there's Jared Isaacman, the most amazing human. And he's like, yeah, we picked a winner and it's you. And then he doesn't mess around. And Jared's like, yeah, and I want you to be my mission pilot. And you're, you know, in your head, you're like, you know, does he know that I've only flown a Cessna 172? And then you're like, and you're like, okay, I don't know what that means, but sure, I'll be your mission pilot. And then you go and you're whisked off to SpaceX headquarters and Hawthorne, and you really start digging into what that is.
Yeah.
And so training, we do all the same training that NASA astronauts are required to do for SpaceX, but you know, and the typical things. You know, we do hyperbolic chamber, we do 0G, we do crew cohesion, we do, you know, fighter jet training, all of those things that you think about. But as a mission pilot, I now have 6 months to become a systems engineer. And I love SpaceX because they're like, yeah, I like to refer to it as like, you want to contest the space, you're kind of like this Yahoo coming in, you're not going to be the mission pilot unless you qualify, because it's safety first, right?
Of course.
And
one would hope so, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they're probably thinking like, okay, here's a proving ground that we can take somebody who's non-military, non-NASA, and in 6 months, we can get them flight qualified to be the mission pilot. And that's what SpaceX did. I'm a geoscience professor. That means, I teach about rocks and Earth processes. I'm not an engineer. But what SpaceX did was they created a program to get me to know the terminology, to understand the Falcon 9 rocket and the Dragon spacecraft, to learn all the emergencies and contingencies. Having my pilot's license helped me get there. It gave me the confidence gave me the confidence to know that I could get myself there.
That's incredible. It's like a boot camp for...
It was.
Yeah,
It literally was.
Yeah.
But you can imagine me coming in and I'm like, wait, what? Stacks of books of engineering and just knowledge and procedures. And you go, again, me and Jared spend a lot of time together in the simulator, going through all the emergencies and the procedures again and again and again, so that you've got it dialed in, just like a NASA astronaut.
We'll be right back after this quick break.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire an energy vampire. But also, they're a literal vampire. And suddenly, my team is spending all their time sharpening wooden stakes and buying bulk silver and rehearsing ancient chants, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant takes insights from over 1 billion professionals to create a short list of the best fits for you. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan are back in Disney's Freakier Friday, now streaming on Disney+.
We switched bodies.
I am freaking out right now.
I think I just peed a little.
It's an absolute riot. And the only movie that can be described as
so much weirder than the last time.
What last time?
it's the frequel
You ready?
we've been waiting for.
That absolutely slays.
Disney's Freakier Friday, now streaming on Disney+, rated PG.
Okay, and to me, it also speaks a lot to what SpaceX has done with their engineering, and that it's sort of, you all can meet in the middle in that way, that like reduction of complexity, but also your training meets.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why that's why I say, as the mission pilot, I really become a systems engineer.
Yeah.
I am watching what the flight computer's doing. I understand if something goes wrong, what we can and cannot do as a crew. And my job fundamentally becomes, added situational awareness for my commander.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. So I got to get to the big question about, the launch, everything. So how can you even walk someone through it who has never been? I'm just so curious, but can you try?
Yeah, it is the most amazing day of your life.
Yeah.
You go and you get up, you have breakfast with your family one last time and your friends. And I love the fact that when we came out of the SpaceX hangar, all of our family and friends were lined up. And we got to kind of say that last goodbye and walk through. And
how did that feel?
Oh, I was so excited and so happy.
Just excited?
Oh, yeah.
Not scared?
No, that's the number one question is the day of launch when I'm strapped into the Dragon capsule and I'm getting ready to, lift off on this beautiful rocket. Am I afraid? And I always say no. I was ready. I was ready to go.
All right.
I was excited. And when I give my keynotes, I walk people through this experience and just let them know, like, I had been chasing space my entire life.
Yeah.
And I was more terrified that I would lose the opportunity. I have it taken away. Like medical. Were they going to find something wrong with me? It's COVID. You can't get sick. You can't get hurt. What if you had broken a leg or something? Like, these are just things that I just think about. Like, am I going to make it to that day where I get to lift off?
Yeah.
And so or will I not qualify as the mission pilot? I've got 6 months, and what if I fall short? And they say, sorry, we don't think that you're qualified.
Right.
These are all things that you're terrified of happening.
Yeah.
So by the time you get there and they're like strapping you in, you're like, light the sucker. We're ready to go.
I'm here. I made it.
Yeah. You're like, I made it.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh, made it. Let's do it.
Yeah. That magic moment. All right.
Yeah.
So can you walk me through those moments? Like, okay, you're in, you're about to lift off. What is that kick? What does that feel like?
Oh, it's great. You're counting down, because the next thing you're sitting in the rocket, you don't want to scrub. And then you realize, they're counting down to 0, and you're just, you've got this huge grin on your face, and you're just kind of sitting there and you're waiting, and it's amazing because you feel the rocket roar to life. And I literally say it roars to life. You're on a dragon.
Yeah.
And you're going to space. And you get pushed back, and then mission pilot, me and Jared, laser focused on the job.
Yeah.
Chris and Haley, as the mission specialist, kind of got to sit back and enjoy the ride and really take those sensations in. But man, I, as the mission pilot, first Black woman to pilot a spaceship.
Yes, indeed.
I'm not effing this up. I'm just gonna say it. Like, you're like laser focused on the job, and so for me, what I did notice was, one, it wasn't as shaky like on TV and the movies. They show you kind of violently shaking. They got that Falcon 9 dialed in.
Really? Wow.
It's kind of like going down a bumpy road, and I could read my flight monitors no problem.
Wow.
Like, it was super, super smooth compared to what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And then you go through your stages, and every stage, Jared's calling out your location as you're hitting these different stages, and I'm watching the flight computer, and then 10 minutes later you're in space, and literally you do this, your hands just float up, and you're like, oh yeah, this is cool. You're seeing the 0G indicator, which for us was a St. Jude therapy dog.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right.
and it's floating around, and you're like this, and you're like, wow, we made it. But again, then you've got next things to happen as the mission pilot, and of course Jared as the commander. You've got all of these like system checkouts and things. And
y'all were
cone
busy.
Has to open. You're busy. And then you're raising your orbit. We were hired in the International Space Station. We're about 585 kilometers up, and you're just kind of like amazed that you're there. And then you get the opportunity to get out of your spacesuit. And I remember, like, Haley basically slid out and started tumbling, and I was out of mine, and I was kind of like, that looks fun, but my stomach was like, you don't really want to do that right now. So you
biology
get
doing its thing.
Space adaptation, and a lot of times people are like, well, I get sick and stuff. It's not. You will definitely have fluid shifts, and people will have different degrees of that. And so for me, it was that slight like nausea where you're kind of like, oh, I don't feel my best, but not enough to throw up. And that's when I highly recommend anybody better living through chemistry. Just take medicine, because a half hour later I felt fine. And I didn't have to worry about throwing up or any of that. And then I could really settle in and enjoy being in space for the next 3 days.
And then we talked about Earthlight.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So I'm going to refer people to our previous conversation where we talked about this.
Definitely.
But it was really magical hearing you describing that.
That was my, people are like, well, did it transform you? Yes, I discovered something new for myself. Something that most of us don't have a clue about. Like, we learn about sunlight, we learn about moonlight, but nobody learns about Earthlight, and it is fundamentally what makes life exist. If our planet didn't strip sunlight down and reduce most of that radiation, life would not exist. It fundamentally takes sunlight and transforms it into Earthlight, and we live in Earthlight, and it's the most beautiful light there is.
I just want to soak in that for a second, because it's just such a profound thought. And I'm feeling very inelegant to say, and I want to change topics now.
Well, I will just end by saying, it took humanity, like, I had to go out into space to discover Earthlight for myself.
Yes.
And it's that idea of a fish in water. Does a fish know it's in water until it jumps out of the water?
That's right.
And for me, that was my moment, going to space, realizing that I was being bathed in Earthlight and being like, whoa. And I think as an artist, because a lot of astronauts have gone to space, they talk about the Earth globe, but I literally realized that I was being bathed in Earth light, and that fundamentally was, I believe, a driving force for the overview effect.
I completely believe it. And so much about your journey also sounds like a rebirth. Like you really are a phoenix that just rose from so much.
Oh, so much.
Oh my
Definitely.
Goodness. Yeah, it's like baptized in Earthlight, honestly.
Yes,
is what
we
really,
all should be.
I hope one day for me as well.
Well, we technically are every day when we walk outside, but we don't realize
That's
it.
True.
And we live in a world of reflected, beautiful light.
Yeah.
And our planet is really special.
It truly is. I'm so sorry to be inelegant about this, but we're talking about Earthlight, and I have to bring us to your incredible shirt, which I know, I feel like I want to make sure I hold it up for the camera. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
This is mine. So I bought this one specifically because I wanted to show it, like, I have it, and I would love for you to sign it if you have a moment later.
I would love to. And so this design here, this is one of my ex-knots. So I call them my Zen knots, actually. Yes. So because they're finding Zen in the cosmos. And this one particularly I call Faith Knot. And the reason why I put it on the T-shirt is that I have faith in us, in humanity, to go out and advance human spaceflight for the purpose of making the Earth more sustainable. And so for a long time, one of my sayings has been solving for space is solving for Earth.
Absolutely. And there's that beautiful Earthlight also, right?
Yes.
And it's gorgeous.
Yes.
So I was thinking, that was the segue I'm trying to make. Like, Earthlight, yeah, see? It's a gorgeous, gorgeous shirt. And we're here at SpaceCom, and this is the beautiful, one of the many beautiful things that you have made for SpaceCom. And I'm just, before we close out, because I know we're running short on time, I know you're about to give a keynote shortly, kind of maybe a thumbnail version of what your message is for SpaceCom while you're here.
Yeah, my big message is that we get to actively design humanity's future in space.
Yeah.
And what I encourage us all to do is strive for that Jedi space, that just, equitable, diverse, and inclusive space, so that we can, be a role model for what we want life on Earth to be like, and that, all that technology and innovation that we're putting into the advancement of human spaceflight own the fact that as we're solving for space, we're solving for Earth, and that we're making ourselves more sustainable in the future, and encouraging everybody to let their Earth light shine.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much for your wonderful message.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to speak with me. Again, I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
It was an honor meeting you in person.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me today. That's it for T-Minus Deep Space, brought to you by N2K Cyberwire. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. You can email us at space@n2k.com or submit the survey in the show notes. Your feedback ensures that we deliver the information that keeps you a step ahead in the rapidly changing space industry. T-Minus Deep Space is produced by Alice Carruth. Our associate producer is Liz Stokes. We're mixed by Elliot Peltzman and Trey Hester, with original music by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Our executive editor is Brandon Karp. Simone Petrella is our president, Peter Kilpie is our publisher, and I am your host, Maria Varmazes. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.